Thanks, Eric, and thanks for everyone for coming out. Yeah, gold for us, it's a bit of a new thing, and we definitely think it's a good thing. I will be making some forward-looking statements here. We do have a relationship here with the Metal Investors Forum, and a lot of you have heard about our project up in Nunavut, and so I do want to just say a few things about it. We still love the potential up there. Again, we're looking for those large, high-grade, sediment-hosted copper and zinc deposits. You can think about the stuff in the Congo, or right next door, Polaris. We're on Tidewater. We have a great geologist essentially directing our exploration up there. The important thing to note about that project right now, there's really negligible holding costs. It's $10,000 to $20,000 a year, depending on the year. We want to keep this one in our back pocket. The base metal story, early stage base metal exploration is not a story that really resonates with the market today, let's say. So we can keep this one in our back pocket. And when the market turns and they want to hear a base metal story, we got a great one up north. So we're going to be focusing our company now really for the next several quarters on gold in Virginia, and this is a new play for us. And what do we have here? We do have a copper, zinc, polymetallic potential as well. That's originally why we picked it up. I will not lie. So it's got great potential, and of course the company that we picked up, it's actually Don Taylor's private company. This is Don Taylor's other company. For those of you who don't know Don, he's the man who started up Arizona Mining, the Taylor deposit there, and that was just bought last summer by South 32 for I think 1.8 billion Canadian dollars. A good win for the shareholders. Again, another great base metal story that we can turn on when we need. But for the next several quarters, we think we're going to be focusing on the gold there. And what we have really, we're looking at that Carolina Slate Belt. For those of you who know the Hale story, the old Remarco play, that belt runs actually from Georgia through the Carolinas, Virginia, up through the Maritimes. Atlantic Gold recently bought by St. Barbara, I believe, and then through Newfoundland, and actually it continues into Scotland. Unfortunately, this is a great district with significant historic mines. It's been unfortunately reduced to roadside plaques. Really what that plaque says is that this was one of the most notable gold mining regions in the United States prior to the California gold rush, so around 1850. It has a lot of past producers. So we got significant potential here. People left in 1850. It was just so much easier to go to the California first, and of course the Yukon Klondike, and then they had a little civil war down there, kind of got in the way of any exploration. So really, this is an area that hasn't seen any modern exploration since 1850. I mean, they didn't have geochemistry, they didn't have geophysics, they didn't have the drilling. I mean, can you imagine doing exploration without drilling? You're not going to get too far. And of course, on the mining side, pumping technologies. A lot of those old producers, they're 100 feet, 125 feet down. They just couldn't keep up with the water ingress. So a lot of potential down there. Of course, and again, it is also part of what Don Taylor describes as an yet undiscovered polymetallic mineralized belt, and some nice results there, multiple % copper and zinc, and previously unrecognized some significant cobalt as well. They have 0.25% cobalt in several of these hits, and that'd be an interesting play, a little interesting energy play for the future. So it's an area of great geology, but even more important is the jurisdiction. It's absolutely fantastic. It's what they call a fee simple jurisdiction, so that means if you have private land or a deal with a private landowner, there's no permitting required for exploration or drilling, and you can even do small-scale mining. Now, we're not interested in small-scale mining, but I think that goes to show you how strong the property rights are there. I don't have to wait for any consultations or permits from forestry or other agencies. I have the deal signed, I can drill next day. So you want to be on private land down there. That makes the exploration so much easier and quicker. But you also want to have the right private landowner, and the right private landowner, the best one, is a forestry company or timber company. These guys, they're in the resource extraction game. We're aligned in getting value out of the ground. The time frames are aligned, certainly. It's about 30, 40 years for one harvest for these guys, and that's mine life and reclamation and exploration. But the best thing about the timber companies, they own large parcels of land, and that is absolutely critical. That allows you to get into an area, you got enough room to do that exploration, and then put that mine in when you get there. What we've done, we've actually just, at the end of this summer, we have signed a major agreement with a major timber company. It's the biggest timber company in the United States. So we've picked up just over 11,000 acres with this company in Virginia. We're looking at three areas. One is we picked up around 5,000 acres around our Buckingham gold property. I'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute here. But it's now we have enough room to do work there, so great potential on a brand new discovery in Virginia. We've also picked up some property around the historic Virginia Pyrite Belt. Again, great brownfields exploration there, and then some polymetallic properties as well for the future. The Buckingham project, again, this was just found in 2015. It was actually on the back of some of Don Taylor's regional work he did with BHP in the 90s and early 2000s. It's actually a 15-kilometer long trend of gold flake in the pan in the stream sediments, actual raggedy gold flakes, so you know you're not too far away. Within that, they did about a 5-kilometer stretch of some very sparse soil lines. Every line anomalous in gold, up to 0.4 grams in gold. 0.4 grams gold in the soils. That's a significant soil anomaly, and that's not from this Buckingham play. And Don, after BHP left North America, Don came back and essentially found visible gold in quartz veins at the surface, never touched, up to 700 grams per ton gold in some of those select grab samples. It was drilled by 3 drill holes were put in 2015 by a company related to Don. Hit gold in all 3 holes. For whatever reason, they walked away. We came back this past summer or spring, drilled 6 holes. Significant high-grade gold in all the holes hit high-grade gold. So you can see some of the numbers there. Close to 1% up to over 2%. Sorry, close to an ounce to over 2 ounces in some significant gold veins here. In addition to the gold in quartz veins, we also hit some disseminated gold, a bit lower grade, but again, both these two things together, the style of mineralization here, very clean gold in quartz, and associated with some disseminated mineralization. Gets us thinking about the Hale Gold Mine. Again, that is located in North Carolina. That's the old Romarco play, now owned by Oceana, located just 200 miles to the south on the same belt. So we have a great along strike potential here. It's open along strike, open at depth, and we're going to start, we want to get back to drill this early in 2020. Here we go. So not to put too fine a point on it, but I guess somebody has to. What we have at Buckingham, we got a high-grade gold discovery. It's at the surface, again, open along strike and at depth. It's within a much bigger 5-kilometer long gold anomaly. We have all that land right now, and we're in what I think is one of the best jurisdictions I've ever worked in. No permits required, so we can hit that quickly. So what have we done over the last year, since I was here last year? Just around this time, we picked up our Virginia project at the beginning of January, or beginning of this year in January. We signed that letter of intent with that major timber company. That took a while to get through. We picked up a smaller project. This is the Buckingham Gold Project in March. Picked it up at the beginning of March. I was started drilling by the end of March. It shows you how fast you can work down there, and that's my first drill program ever in the United States. It'd be even quicker these days. We got our results out in June. Again, near surface, high-grade gold. August, at the end of August, we finally got our timber company signed up, so around 11,000 acres. We've been doing some soil sampling, and we got some IP planned for the end of this year. And what we want to do next year is quickly get to some step-out drilling on our Buckingham gold property. And I hate these share structure slides, but just a few things I want to point out. We do have some strong management and insider component. We have about 9%. Strong institutions, some good names there. And we do have a placement open right now. Obviously, our cash is low. There's no fooling anybody on that. We do have a placement open right now. I think it's quite favorably priced. And a good thing to note there is our average daily volume. To date, it's probably about, I could update that, it's probably about 565 shares traded average per day, good volume on that stock. And so just really what's the value proposition here? We got great geology in Virginia, brownfields, and a new high-grade gold discovery. Great jurisdiction, doesn't get any better with no permitting. completely ignored with modern exploration methods, and even more importantly, and this is what I think what Remarco did very well down in South Carolina, they looked at it with a modern mining mindset. You can take a look at an area that's been poked at historically, looking at the smaller, high-grade stuff. Take a look at it in a more holistic way, look at it with modern exploration, modern mining methods, extraction technologies. You can work up something nice and big, like they did at the Hale Gold Mine, to really get something that's got a lot more meat on the bone. We had an experienced team, Don Taylor leading this exploration, microcap stock, high volume, a great upside potential, and again, of course, the exposure to the base metal plays when the market turns. Thanks. Come by the booth. I'll show you some maps that you can actually see, and I'd love to talk more about it. Thank you.